Welcome back to another edition of Vikings Film Room, brought to you by the Vikings Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Pete Bercich. Well, it's kickoff 2022, and there have been a lot of changes around here in Minnesota. You got a brand new coach, new GM, new schemes, new everything, but a couple things haven't changed. And number one is our rivalry with the Packers, and there's a couple things you can count on. One, my dislike of this team, the Packers that is, and stopping Aaron Rodgers. But there's a third piece that we need to dive into on Film Room. It's that defensive front of the Green Bay Packers and what our offensive line is going to have to do to slow these guys down. So when we talk about the front of the Green Bay Packers, we start with these two guys. They're bookends. They're outside linebackers. Preston Smith, he could wreck you if you let him. And Rashawn Gary, the other outside linebacker. These guys are phenomenal at what they do. And this kind of gives you a perfect example of the art of pass rushing. Kevin O'Connell, the head coach of the Vikings, talked about pass rushing is an art form. This is a perfect example. You'll see Rashawn Gary on the outside. Now, when he connects with this offensive lineman, when he first gets that right hand in there, you see that left hand, it started on the elbow, and then he slides that thing in to get to the hand, because it's easier to get this hand off of you when you're grabbing him by the wrist, not the elbow. It's so subtle, it's so quick, but it's so important, and this guy is so good at doing that. Once he gets that hand there, gets that hand off him, still gets the push, now he's able to come underneath and get it on the quarterback. These guys are technicians on the outside. Now we saw Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith. Watch this technique. Watch what he is able to get done from the outside and why he's so dangerous. At the start of this play, he's rushing up the field and he comes inside because he thinks that there's a throwing lane here. He sees the quarterback's eyes. He wants to get himself in there. But once the quarterback turns his head, he converts. He can go either inside and keep going inside or work his way outside, but watch this transition from where he is right now. Pads high in the throwing lane, but watch, he'll set his feet, swim to the outside, and get in and hit the quarterback. Unbelievable. And it's not just the passing game where Preston Smith stands out, it's also in the running game. And this is a really good example of setting the edge, what a 3-4 defense is all about. It's about making wide receivers, tight ends, running backs block these big outside linebackers. And this play here is a perfect example of that. Fullback goes in motion. First blocker is the wide receiver. He gets out him. Now he's getting double teamed by the tight end and the fullback. He splits that, forces the running back inside of the pursuit. 3 guys. Preston Smith still wins. Now another key with the 3-4 defense, we've heard this from Coach Donatell, is setting the edge. And these two guys, Devondre Campbell, by the way, I think one of the unsung heroes of this Packer defense, and Preston Smith, watch him on this play. The Bengals want to run this thing outside. You have a tight end blocking the defensive end. You have this edge. Now there's a gap right here, but if these guys can set this edge and not move, they can force this running back into pursuit. All these guys over here, Kenny Clark, wow. Kenny Clark pursuing down the line of scrimmage. Preston Smith's able to get up underneath that tight end, force the running back into the arms of Kenny Clark. That's why it's so tough to get on the outside of this defense. And then there's this guy, Kenny Clark. Now, Aaron Rodgers said that he owns the Bears. I think Kenny Clark owns the Bears, and we're going to get a perfect example right here. This is what you can do with strength. Offensive linemen are like big old chairs that you have at your dining table. You walk up, you push them, they barely move. But if you tip that thing on 2 legs, you just have to tap it for it to fall over. Kenny Clark gets inside on this guard. Now watch what he's able to do with him. That strength to push him back. Left foot, and then watch this right foot. All the way outside. That is not a good football position. That is not a good football base. Just swims on the outside, gets in and tackles Fields. That's an incredible pass rush by Kenny Clark. All right, another example that I just had to show. Kenny Clark here at the 3 technique. Watch what he does to this offensive guard. This is a 310, 315 pound man right here. He gets up the field, and with that strength, able to get that guard to set, moves himself inside. Look at that football position. Look at those legs. There's nothing that guy can do. Gets the pressure on Russell Wilson, forces the incompletion. This guy is a menace in the interior. Now we turn to Dean Lowry, I think one of the more unsung heroes of this defensive front. Works so well with the guys around him. And in this case, the Bears are in the red zone, deep in the red zone. They want to run the football. They got the receivers in tight, 2 tight ends. They're just going to pound this thing in there. But the Packers have something to say about it. Preston Smith on the outside, once again, setting the edge. And the Bears have a touchdown here. They've got the guard turned out here, tackle turned out there, Preston Smith blocked out there. There's a lane right here. This should be a walk-in type of a touchdown. But Preston Smith sets that edge. Not only sets it, but works his way back inside. Dean Lowry right here to beat the cutoff block of the offensive tackle. This play should be a touchdown, ends up being a no gain. Those guys work so well together up front. All right, on the pass rush, here's an example of Dean Lowry and Kenny Clark working together. And it's awesome to see this. Lowry's lined up, he's outside the guard, right? And Kenny Clark, he's shaded on the center. Watch what happens with Lowry when the ball is snapped. He takes an angle right down to pick the center, to get him off. Bam! Hits that shoulder. Clark's able to loop around, beat that tackle inside, get pressure. These guys run stunts very, very well. Now, we mentioned Devondre Campbell earlier. This is a perfect example of him and how quickly this guy can get downhill. Look at the number count, right? You have guard here, you have a center here for the linebacker, guard here. We should have room in here to run the football. However, Devondre Campbell has something else to say about this. Center shooting out on him. Look at this guy. He's standing straight up and down. Devondre Campbell rips, gets underneath, boom, comes in and makes the tackle. Devondre Campbell is a quick linebacker. So overall, yeah, you have to stop Aaron Rodgers and his vaunted Green Bay offense, but you have to pay attention to, I think, where their strengths lie, and that's that defensive front. Our offensive line, we got a new Ed Ingram at guard, some young guys up front. It's going to be a fun day watching these guys battle.